everyone raves about the Sydney fireworks and how brilliant they are every year, how brilliant they were this year. But were they? If you were watching the 9 o'clock fireworks on ABC television, your answer might have been, I have some reservations. Because before we were allowed to see any bangers making big bangs and sparks, we had to listen to a welcome to country. Have a look at this.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sydney's fabulous New Year's Eve celebrations here on Gadigal and nearby lands.
Welcome to Gadigal country. This always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
So apparently the fireworks don't happen on our land, the fireworks happen on someone else's land, and we have to be reminded, Will.
I think I'm breaking the fourth wall with the audience here. There are some stories you can rinse and repeat every year, and the woke fireworks is a January 1 go-to, and we will get it next year and the year after that. We know the ABC is going to always do this stuff, but what I would like to say, and I think this will be a theme for our show tonight, is for everyone else who isn't the ABC, and I'm going to be indulgent, I'm going to go direct to camera for this. If you're a CEO, if you're a celebrity, if you're anyone who doesn't work in the ABC, you're free. You don't have to do this stuff anymore. People are sick of it. People are over it. In terms of the Indigenous affairs stuff, they actually care about real things that matter to people. They don't care about this symbolic nonsense. Guys, I'm so sick of this, but I think everyone else is as well. What do you think?
I think it's bizarre, Evelyn, that at a fireworks show we have to have a welcome to country. Doesn't that seem strange to you?
Well, considering all the other places we've had to have a welcome to country, I don't think it's that bizarre.
Aeroplane land.
I can't even open a can of soft drink without needing a welcome to country. You know, I have some friends of mine who were telling me that they had to go to their kids' end of year school assembly, and I'm sure parents at home are feeling PTSD just mentioning that because they are very long, very protracted. But my friend was telling me that every single speech that a teacher or someone of authority within the school had to give, a separate welcome to country had to happen. So I'm talking dozens of welcome to countries within one school assembly. And this is the level of stupidity that we have allowed. Like you said, Will, like no one's holding a gun to our heads. We don't have to do this sort of stuff. And I think it's about time we stop caring when they call us that ugly R word, racist.
No.
Because it's not. You know, Australians are not racist, and sure, there might be a few bad apples there, but it doesn't mean the whole bunch is bad. But as a country, we are not.
That's the gun that's being held to people's heads. The gun being held to our heads is you either acknowledge Aboriginal people, you're not a nice person.
No, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think the gun is well and truly back in the holster. I think now, apart from a few loonies at the ABC and some of the really woke, ideologically corrupted institutions, I think we're past this. I think at least in respect to this particular symbolic gesture.
Well, you may think we're past it, but it is still happening.
It's still happening.
Last night.
But it's how people are responding to it that is changing. Back in 2020, 2021, in that peak madness period, people were being quiet. People were too scared to say anything. Whereas now, I think people are going, well, you know what, this is a bit of a nonsense.
I think that the Voice referendum was a really good thing to boost people's confidence, and it allowed people, you know, regular Australians who normally would probably remain quiet on these matters and go, you know, I'm not going to get involved in politics. I'm going to enjoy my football, my beers, and etc. I think having majority of Australians overwhelmingly say no, it wasn't just no to the referendum, it was no to these woke ideologies.
It wasn't necessarily heard, because what we actually saw last night was at the 9 o'clock display something called Calling Country, and it was full of these kinds of messages. Have a look.
From land to sea, past, present and future. Whoever you are, we can write a better history together, change ways, change hearts, change minds, change lives, change the future.
So if you listen to the words, all the way through the fireworks, we were being, well, I think the word is lectured. Weren't we being lectured? Yeah, we were being lectured. But again, the ABC is as the ABC does. Who cares? The bigger issue, I think, is that people now are
calling this stuff out. I was flying in from Heathrow to Sydney, and Qantas still does this nonsense. And when they did the welcome to country as we were landing in Sydney, which should be a really great time for a returning Aussie, you get that welcome to country, and there was an audible groan that went across the economy
Isn't that
section.
encouraging?
An audible
I like
groan.
that.
It really was. It really was.
It
I
gives
think
you hope for the future, doesn't
I think
it?
that is a sign of how this is changing.
But I think that.
But I flew on a domestic flight. I mean, why would they have to do it on domestic flights? Melbourne to Sydney, and we got a welcome to country arriving. We were still in Australia, folks. We hadn't left Australia, and we were being welcomed to Sydney. And there wasn't a groan. I think people have just got used to it. They're blasé about it. They just ignore it.
Well, maybe the difference is that I was coming from an international flight where people haven't just been given this every 2 seconds, and then when they heard it, they were going, well, this is just silly. It's not on. But I think something is changing. I think maybe I'm just hopeful that 2025 something is changing.
Yeah, I definitely do think something is changing. And I think that, it is encouraging when you see things like that. But I think the problem that we're having, unfortunately, is that even though majority of Australians behind the scenes are saying no, and we're seeing things in the plane like you did, these things are on mainstream news and they're indoctrinating our children. And children are very vulnerable, children are very impressionable. And that's where, if you win the hearts of your children, you've won the future. And so I think even though behind the scenes, we're all sort of collectively saying no, it's important to win it from the front, because what the children are seeing is so important, and the message that we're sending them, because they're our future.